We're going to be making some updates to this house and replacing this banister, trying to update the style a little bit from this 80s style. One of the things that's really nice about this banister, the whole thing comes off, and there's no way to get a lot of our furniture up these stairs and make this turn without this coming off. And so our replacement, we're going to want to be kind of a removable unit, but we're going to switch to a square post and wrought iron in there. So we'll go through the process with you. All right, I started by cutting down the newel that we had purchased. Got it through Home Depot, style that we liked. I just kind of rough measured this bottom cutout, which will go really kind of bolted to the stairs. So I'm a little bit long at this point. I figure I'm going to cut it down. I don't want to buy a second post if I don't have to. So trying not to make mistakes. And then once again, since the new one's going to be wrought iron, we're figuring that it's not going to be kind of as sturdy when we have one unit. So we're going to use this board kind of as our half newel along the wall. And so when we remove the whole thing, we'll take down, this board here will be a part of the whole thing. So that's the plan at this point. We're just test fitting and see how things go. All right, so I'm in the garage continuing. I just basically set up my my miter saw. I took out one of the balusters and was able to match up the angle here to the blade of the miter saw, so you can see the miter saw's on the tilt. I actually cut a piece to length. It's actually a little bit longer, just in case I screw things up. I was feeling pretty good about all the angles, and after I was cutting with the plastic on, and then noticed there's a nice big dent on the side that would be exposed. So a little bit of a tip is inspect your piece before you cut it. They would have been fine if it was on the far side, but I don't really want that exposed. But in either case, the piece that we had bought, which we got from Menards, was way longer, so I had plenty of room to actually work on the other one. This other piece it feels fine on both sides. So so it's actually worked out pretty well in that my practice cut didn't screw anything up, and I don't have to pay anything else. All right, so after making the cuts, and I did sneak up on it, I'm pretty happy with our seams down at the bottom, at the top. I check the angle by laying it across just the stairs from base to wall, and the angles do follow the stair, which is really nice. One quick tip, I did put tape on the back side when I was cutting it. I did have some splintering on my test board, so I made sure I tape things, and I have a nice cleaner cut on the other side. So we'll continue on with the bottom at this point. I just wanted to quickly show the piece of shoe rail that I got from Menards along with the handrail. So it's an 8-foot section, which is why I had the spare. So I'm gonna basically measure out the same length as the handrail, maybe, and probably give myself an extra inch to play with it and sneak up on it like you should. I'll tape it up as well. So at this point, I got the newel just screwed in. So the holes are right there, just 4 screws. I based it off of the old post. There was the same 4 screws. I didn't want to go into the same holes because I've taken this banister or put it on and off many a time. So those holes are probably pretty loose. So I wanted a slightly different location. So they're a little bit further down, about a 1/2 inch down from each of those, a little bit more in. But yeah, it's gonna now turning my attention to the shoe rail and attaching the handrail. So I'm on to marking where the handrail is gonna go. So I did drill the hole here. And then I have a hole that's going towards the newel. I'm going to raise it up about there. And then mark it. I cut a small piece of pencil so that I can get into that little hole to get through there to mark that accurately. What I'm going to be looking to hold this, once again, just picked up from Menards. This is cheap. This black piece is plastic. I would certainly prefer that to be metal. But we're going to see how this holds and if I need to grab something stronger for a tighter fit. Either case, we'll work on that. All right, I got the handrail attached to the newel at this point. Actually, it's really tight, and I might secure it with a couple nails, but just so it doesn't turn if it loosens. The hole's pretty big. I came at it straight on with a ratchet or a socket, but you know, this groove right here, you know, will basically be covered, so that shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, real tight at this point. So moving on. Just quickly catching up on what I did for the shoe rail. So once again, this all came from Menards, but the shoe rail, the groove that they have, the pieces they have for the wrought iron are actually slightly too big. So I had to notch out where each of these is going to go. So they kind of now kind of lock in. And then what I did is I kind of notched out where each of the baluster will kind of go. So here's the baluster. They'll come in at an angle and they fit in there really nicely. So it took a lot of work, but admittedly I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just trying to make it look right and be sturdy. So figured that additional notch would be good. All right, so I finally mounted the handrail and the shoe rail to my half newel, which is essentially just a board. And then I kind of hid the screws for the half newel going into the wall over here. Once again, this whole unit has to be able to come off in one piece. So that's why I wanted that half newel connected. And with right now removing 6 screws, I don't know if I'll have to pull out others. The whole thing will be able to come out. So at this point, I did calculate my distance, which is just over 36 inches across, figured out my spacing, which is about 4, and it was like 30 seconds or something like that. But figured out my spacing for the newels down below. And then I simply just kind of used a level to figure out where I'm going to go up above, and just kind of marked it and drilled it. I did not measure at the top. It's all based off of a level. The holes are there. They're pretty ugly. However, this is all the gaps are gonna be covered with kind of a more finishing piece anyway. So that's not such a big deal. So at this point, I'm gonna finish cutting the length, the wrought iron pieces, and maybe do a dry test fit. Test fit went fine. Cut all the holes, drilled all the holes. Everything looks pretty straight, pretty happy with it. Test fitting the shoes in my little grooves because I had to expand that. And pretty happy with the way things are. I gotta widen the grooves at the top. And then I'll probably use some kind of epoxy to hold them, and then cut the little finishing spacers. So moving along nicely. So aesthetically, I mean, like, things look pretty good. We actually bought 9 of these knuckles. We're gonna have 2 on the plain posts, or I'm sorry, 2 on the twist posts above and below it, and then 1 on the plain posts. And it was way too busy. So hopefully I can return 6 of these opened knuckles. But we're pretty happy with the way things look as of yet. Nothing's like tightened down. We just kind of have it test fit here. Now I'm going to cut the pieces going between. Wanted to just give a final video for the project. You'll notice we painted it white. I put multiple coats of polyurethane on it to protect it, since they have a tendency to get knocked around. Very happy with the results. You know, my original goals, it needed to come off, it needed to be updated, it needed to be solid. All of that achieved. Thank you for watching.